Hey everyone, good evening, good evening. As always, I hope you're doing wonderful. I wanted to do a video tonight on limiting thought patterns. As you can see from this picture here, it says, change your thoughts and you change your world. And I definitely do believe that. And being someone that suffers from depression, I have to really focus on, my thoughts and where I let them go. Many people believe that positive thinking and manifestation are important tools that help propel us towards our goals. Limiting thought patterns, like having a fixed mindset, can be as much of a burden as a positive. So it has its advantages and its disadvantages. But before you balk at the idea that you hold yourself back, let's take a look at how limited thinking manifests in our lives. If you find yourself experiencing these thinking patterns, it might be time to shift your mindset. For instance, all or nothing. Things are either black or white. There's no gray. This limited thinking pattern impedes your ability to see nuances. You're either a massive success or you're a lowly failure. If there's an in-between, it doesn't matter and you don't see it. This pattern of thought holds us back because we can't see progress or growth, and it doesn't allow us to find a middle ground. Another one is focusing on the negative. Negative thinking is one of the most discussed topics in the self-help world. We all know the negative impact this type of thinking can have on our life. And it's easy to tell others to look at the bright side of a situation or to look for the silver lining, but it's honestly much harder to do it yourself, especially if you're doing it consistently. If your mind filters all information through a negative lens, you won't be as happy or as successful as you deserve. You need to teach yourself to look for the silver linings in things. You want to encourage yourself, basically, just like you would your best friend. Another one is overgeneralization. This thinking pattern goes hand in hand with the all or nothing pattern. If you take a single incident and draw broad conclusions about it, you might get stuck in this cycle. For example, if you fail at something, you decide it's worthless or impossible. You then take it a step further and decide you are incompetent and you'll never figure it out. And besides being overly negative, this thinking process, it's not even logical because life doesn't exist in absolutes. Also, mind reading. We all know it's not very easy, and for most it's not even possible to read someone's mind unless you're really good with your sixth sense. Even if you're highly intuitive, you can't know for sure what someone's thinking. So this thought pattern causes you to make quick assumptions about others or think you know the real reason they acted in a certain way. Bias and stereotypes come into play here as well. So you really got to be careful with that. So another one we have is a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is an idea that things are how they are and there's no way to change it. A fixed mindset is one of several ways that we self-sabotage our own success. We believe that there are many things that we can't control, and we don't even try to change them. We just accept that that's basically the way things are. You trust your abilities, which is great, but you never see a reason to grow or change. You don't think about how you became good at those things. You just believe it's a natural ability, something basically that you played no part in. Logically, though, we know it's not. Oh, I hit a button on my phone. Sorry about that. Logically, though, what was I saying? We know it's not true. And if your sister or your brother or your child or your friend said something like this, you'd probably combat it. So we need to show ourselves some positivity. If you aren't growing and changing as a person, you are still standing still as the world passes you by, it might be something that you might want to look at and change. And also, being stuck on the how. This type of limited thinking is when you get so wrapped up in the idea, dang, my phone did it again. But you get so wrapped in the idea of how. Often this coincides with perfectionism. We want all the answers and all the steps to be able to move forward. For example, we can set a goal and then we get stuck on the how will I reach it? How am I going to do it? How am I going to accomplish it? While having a plan is important, we can't possibly know all the details of accomplishing something. So you can't allow this to stop you from taking action. Sometimes you have to have a little faith that you'll figure it out. Or maybe someone will come along and help you. And here's a big one, catastrophizing. If you're the type of person to assume the absolute worst of every situation, this is about you. Does an obstacle in your path make you think everything is a mess? If so, you are likely suffering from catastrophizing. This limited thinking pattern makes us always expect the worst. So when you think of taking action, all you can see are all the ways and things that could go wrong. And you'll be too paralyzed by fear, basically, and indecision to act. And without action, honestly, there's no growth. There's also the case of the shoulds. If you spend your time worrying about the way things should be instead of how they actually are, you might be dealing with this limited thinking pattern. This pattern sometimes overlaps with the mind reading one. You have an idea in your head of how things are supposed to go, how to act, and then when things don't turn out that way, it throws you off. You expect everything to act according to your preconceived standards and have a hard time adapting to when things don't. And then there's personalization. Not everything is about you. Do you need to hear that? If so, you might be suffering from personalization. This is a hard one to take because it's part of the human nature to view the world through the lens of how things affect us. And it doesn't make you a narcissist, but it can still be problematic. This limited thinking pattern means you take everything personally. Not everything that happens to you is an attack on you. Sometimes things simply don't work out. It doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you. So, these are just a few examples, but what are you doing to change your mindset? Put yourself on a good pattern here and take some time to look at these, or listen to some of these and see if they fit you. And if they do, maybe make some adjustments. All right, everyone. Have a great evening. Take care. Peace.